So, what got you into wrestling originally? What were you a fan of, or what made you want to spend your life running around in a wrestling ring?
I mean, I was absolutely encapsulated by the first time I ever laid eyes on wrestling, and that was flipping the channels in the living room, seeing Big Show stood in the wrestling ring, and the Dudley Boys walking down to the ring, down the ramp. But they were doing that walk where they're one in front of the other, and they're holding the table at one side. And I just remember seeing it, and I just couldn't for the life of me work out what was happening, because there was a giant at one end and these two army men holding a table. I didn't know what I was looking at. But I was absolutely mesmerised by it, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. And then I was lucky enough that once I was shown an interest in it, someone who was working with my mum was getting rid of all of their VHSs from back at WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 2 or 1 all the way through to WrestleMania 7, where they had all the pay-per-views in between, they had all the special editions, everything. And I watched those until some of them started to wear out. I watched them that many times, and I would just keep going back to the beginning and watching them all the way through. And those big, colourful characters from about 80, 87, 88 until about 92, 93 was for me, it was just that larger-than-life personality. That's when I kind of learned as a smaller guy that if you are willing to be a bit loud and a bit out there, then you'll get noticed just as much as everyone else.
Who stood out for you when you were watching it during that time?
Hulk Hogan, I'd say, definitely. Like he was kind of the main feature throughout those years. So it was all kind of the one story arc that followed throughout that entire period was the Hulkamania kind of period. So Hulk Hogan was definitely a character that I was really obsessed with when I was young, and then other characters like Roddy Piper and Macho Man, obviously the Mega Powers coming together, and then they're falling out. You know, I'll never forget that stuff as long as I live.
Did you have a favourite match from that sort of era?
I really like it. It's so funny to think back now, the one that I liked so much as a kid, but there was this special VHS that was for the UK only, and it was called Battle Royal in the Albert Hall. And it was just basically a show that they did in the Royal Albert Hall of the WWF, I think in 1991 or 1990. And it was just kind of, you know, I don't really remember much of the card, but it was that last match where they just had the Battle Royal with 20 guys in it, and you had like the Road Warriors, and you had like, you know, all the big names of the time. And I just remember watching that over and over again. I think it's because it was all these names and faces that I recognised all in one match at the same time, and I just loved it. And also that WrestleMania 2, there was a big Battle Royal, I think, kind of opening the show. And again, like, I just loved all the big Battle Royals as a kid, just seeing all these huge people in one ring going at it, all fighting each other, and I was just obsessed with watching them. And I found that only having a limited amount of things to watch, you can watch a Battle Royal about 100 times and it will be different every time, because you'll be able to see something different going on each time, because there's 20 people all at once. So I was a big fan of those.
I was at a What Culture event not too long ago, and they did a 30-man Royal Rumble where you could be eliminated by pinfall, and I missed a couple of the eliminations, so I had to watch it back. And watching it back the second time, I saw a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen originally, so I get what you mean with the Battle Royals. There's so much going on, you can only take in a fraction of it at any one time.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like, I imagine if you went to watch a Royal Rumble even now in the WWE at a live show compared to watching it on the pay-per-view, because obviously they've got to swing that camera around every time someone comes out and show you who's coming to the ring. And obviously while they're doing that, there's things going on in the ring that you know, you're not seeing at the time. So it is a really exciting match to have, you know, with that amount of people in.
Have you been in many Battle Royals?
Oh, of course. I mean, you probably know from being around the British scene that there seems to be a Battle Royal or a Rumble at most shows nowadays. Well, I say nowadays. It used to be, when I first started, it used to be a staple of every show. It would be like, everyone does the Rumble at the end, and, you know, you'd have a 5-match card, and then you'd see these guys all come out again and renew their rivalries from earlier in the night in the Rumble. So
then send the crowd home happy when the good guy wins.
Yeah, get the big star, and at the end of the night, holding up the Rumble trophy or whatever they've got. But no, I mean, it's much less nowadays. I I like that it's used as more of an attraction nowadays rather than just a kind of an afterthought. I mean, yeah, I couldn't tell you how many I've been in, really. I can't remember.
Because I've not seen that many Rumbles live. I've seen a couple of multi-man matches, but nothing really like the Rumble. But I've probably only seen 3 or 4 of them. They're not as popular as they used to be. I've heard from some of my friends who have been wrestling for a long time that every show would have a Rumble at the end, and that was how it would work.
It was kind of just the done thing at the time, just to give the crowd the kind of big special attraction at the end. But I think now that it's become more of an attraction where a lot of the British promotions are putting a lot more time and effort into building up that match and making it more special, I think it works a lot better that way around.
Because you don't need the Rumble necessarily as a draw now, do you? There's so much talent on the UK scene now. People pay just to see individual matchups or
absolutely.
You don't want to match with everything in.
Yeah, like now more than ever, there are multiple names in this country now that people want to get out of their houses and go and see live, and that's I guess that really only been happening on a widespread across all the country for the last kind of 5-ish years. It's been building up, and now stronger than ever. So it's definitely a positive for sure.
Is there anyone on the UK scene that you particularly enjoy watching when you've got a spare 10 minutes or whatever? Or you've got an hour, you can just put YouTube on or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it tends to be more that if I'm on a show with certain guys, I'll always be trying to get myself somewhere in the venue or peep in my view through the gaps in the curtain on the stage and things to check out some of the guys, because I enjoy that a lot more than searching online, because I feel like you get much more of a feel for that person's work when you're in the room and you can feel the audience. Like people like Grado, whenever I'm on a show with him, I always try and make sure I'm watching him, and guys like Gabriel Kidd I love to watch, Alex Gracie I love to watch. Like these guys that I don't get to wrestle on shows that often with, I'll always make an effort whenever I can to check out what they're doing. And then there's guys that I'm on shows with a lot and that I'm very familiar with, like El Ligero and guys like that I'll always try and make sure I'm watching to see what they're up to, and just to keep up with their work, really.
What's the best match that you've seen through the curtain that you've at a show that you've attended as a performer? Have you ever watched
tough to say.
Have you ever seen something and thought, I'm going to have to stop what else I'm doing? This is incredible.
Yeah, it's so hard to say because there's been so many. I mean, I love the matches where it's usually a build up of a whole combination of things that have been going on in that town. I mean, I've seen some crazy things that you'd never expect to have the crowd losing their minds. But there was a time recently where Vince Russo was on a lot of the IPW shows, where they had Vince Russo had been come in to run the company, and basically he was the booker for the shows and things like that. And it all became a feud between him and the owner of IPW. And then what ended up happening was there was almost like a Survivor Series tag match, and the team that won, whether it be Team Russo or Team Dan Edler, would keep the company, or would get the control of the company. And I was watching this just because I thought it was insane that Vince Russo was in a match in the south of England, so I had to watch it. And I tell you what, the crowd, I mean, they've been building this up for the best part of a year, and the crowd were in an absolute frenzy by the end of it. I think the final two was Vince Russo and Grado. And when Grado hit the big RKO on Vince Russo and they did the 1, 2, 3, honestly, it was one of the biggest reactions I've ever seen. So that was one where not only was I stood there, but there was about 20 wrestlers lined up by the curtain just trying to get a view on that one. That was definitely something to see.
I might see if I can check that out, because I'm always a fan of anything with Grado involved, and something with Vince.
I'm the biggest Grado fan.
Something with Vince Russo sounds fairly incredible as well.
Definitely worth checking out, mate. Definitely.
Yeah, I will do. So, what were you selling on that merch store? Because you've always got random little things that you're selling. What is it that you were selling at a Vince Russo and Grado show?
Oh, I would have had the. That's funny. I would have had that was the venue where I decided to manufacture my own air freshener specifically for that town. Savvy Sid's Swanley, which is the town in Kent, lemon tart fresh air, and yeah, it was quite a hot seller actually. I didn't really think that they would quite take to it. I thought, you know what, as much as they need this in their town, because of the bad smell of the general area, but I thought they might not enjoy hearing the truth about how their town smelled. But, you know, I sold out of the things, and then I got the girl who bought them all coming back and asking me to get more stock because she's run out of them, which was a bit surprising. But yeah, you never know what's going to sell. You never know what's going to be the next hot ticket item.
How easy is it for you to get this air freshener back in stock? Can you get this back for hours with a limited edition run?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple in the bag now because of the recent resurgence in interest. So yeah, they've been coming to some of the shows with me recently.
Is it just you'll just take them in general because you've got them, or is there only certain towns where you think they've got a bit of an order to them?
I've redesigned the packaging to make them more general for so that they can work in any town now. They could just be, if anyone fancies an air freshener. They smell really nice too. I saw this wrestler from Australia. His name is Josh Shooter. He was having a look at them, and I'm pretty sure I saw him spray them under his armpits, which isn't really the idea. But I mean, you know, each to their own.
Did you charge him for that? Was he allowed a sample?
Well, I mean, I thought about it, but then I thought he might break it because he's quite a lumbering gentleman. I thought he might squeeze it a bit too hard and would have a situation like Lenny from Of Mice and Men where he's kind of destroyed something that he loved. But no, I let him have the free sample anyway. He kind of walked down the corridor and everyone said, "Oh, what's that smell? It smells nice." So it's kind of a free advertisement for me.
Where'd you get your ideas from? I know you're a bit of a Dell boy. What other sort of merchandise things have you sold in the past? What's popped up that you've just thought, I'm going to have to sell this?
I mean, I've recently developed a little bit of a habit of eBay searching the most popular items for events. So you name it, I don't even know what they're called. They're just really irritating. You know, the things that kids swing around and they make like a rattling sound.
Like the fidget spinner things, or...
Oh, no. I need to get myself some of those Savvy Sid branded fidget spinners. I'm talking about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and when you used to just grab a bit of plastic, basically, and you'd swing it around, and it would just kind of make this really irritating, loud, rattling noise, and they would sell them at, you know, at various public events for kids to make a racket with.
Oh, yeah. They're awful.
Really annoying, and the parents are always very reluctant to buy them, but I had some yellow ones of those. I used to have yellow whistles. They all sold out. You know, whatever. If you look at something and think, would a kid enjoy annoying everyone else with this? It's usually going to be a top seller.
I was at a show where there was Vuvuz Sailors once. Just after the World Cup. That was horrendous. Yeah, it can be the difference between a nice night's sleep and the ringing in your ears for the next 2 days. One of the times I first became aware of you as a performer, I saw you with the Vader masks that you'd made. Can you give us a little bit about that and what it was like working with Vader after he found out you were selling his merchandise? Yeah, I mean, it's the first time a lot of people heard of me. I get a lot of questions regularly from a lot of people about the Vader mask incident. I mean, it all came about because Will Ospreay had a bit of a falling out with him, and you know, instead of putting my 2 cents in and picking a side and getting involved in the argument, I just thought I'll be a neutral bystander in all of this, and I will use the opportunity to perhaps make a bit of money for me and Will. So I tried to convince him. I went down to the B&Q, bought myself about 4 rolls of red electrical tape, and used my own face as a reference, and made myself a few of these masks. And I thought, Will, if you can endorse these masks, then we could definitely make a few quid here before the Vader match happens. And he didn't seem too keen on it, but he did wear it to the ring in his match before he faced Vader, which was against Pete Dunne. And that made international press. He was wearing the thing that I'd made for as the prototype, and it was in Japanese wrestling news websites and magazines, and it was in the American wrestling websites and on their podcasts and all this. They were all talking about it, and then a few of them picked up that there was a little video online where I was trying to convince Will to invest in them with me, and that was how that all started. But let's just say the man himself, the mastodon, Big Van Vader, he didn't seem too keen on his likeness being used for me to make a few quid. So he started kind of threatening me on Twitter and
trying to negotiate some sort of split with me, and he wasn't really the best negotiator, so we had a bit of a falling out. And then I started designing my own, instead of It's Vader Time, I designed some It's Savvy Time t-shirts, and he didn't really like that either. That wound him up. And then next thing you know, I get booked against him in a match, and yeah, I can't say it was the fairest of fights, if you know what I mean. He's probably the biggest human being I've ever seen in person.
How tall are you, build up? What do you weigh? You must be about 3 times your weight, Vader.
Without question, I think. I mean, I'm billed at 98 apples and pears, but I don't know how many apples and pears Vader would weigh. But I think he must be nearly 400 pounds, and I come in at about 150 pounds, so he is almost about 3 times a Sid Scala. But yeah, no, he's a grumpy fellow, and he wasn't the most pleasant person I've ever been in the ring with, to be honest. And I will say, hand on my heart, I've never feared for my life quite like that day when I had to wrestle Big Van Vader. That's for certain.
He's got a reputation for being quite stiff as well. Did it help that? Did it make it any worse that you'd annoyed him before the match? I'd imagine most people avoid doing that.
I mean, I've been hit harder, believe it or not, than by Vader. Luckily, I've upset a lot of people. You know, a lot of people don't really find me cheeky; they just find me downright annoying. So I've been hit quite hard in my time. So that wasn't going to bother me too much. If I was going to get, you know, a bit of a whack round the ear or a broken nose, I'll probably be all right with that. You know, and like at the end, it's funny. Once we had our match and it was all said and done, he seemed to kind of liken to me. Maybe because I just took his beating and I took it on the chin. I'm not quite sure, but he sent a little tweet out afterwards saying that I'm very tough, which I found quite surprising. And then after the match, also he mentioned that I'd carried the entertainment side of that very well, as far as when I'd come out to the ring and things like that. He'd said to me that I'm quite the showman. I mean, that didn't stop him squashing me with an elbow drop, but you know, I did what I could anyway to show those people of Colchester who I was before I got flattened.
Who hits harder than Vader?
A lot of wrestlers in the South will know this, and none of them will be surprised. The man who hits harder than Vader is Paul Robinson. Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me.
Who is probably the only man in the South who is smaller than me.
How often did you get to work with Paul Robinson? I know he's recently retired from most promotions. Did you work with him often?
I've worked with Paul quite a lot. I've worked with him when he's been a fan favourite luchador superstar where everyone loves him, and I've worked with him where he's been a hated, bitter, thug-like, you know, scary bloke. So I've seen both sides of Paul Robinson. I'm a huge fan of Paul Robinson. I think he's fantastic.
My friend Andy, who bought one of your shirts at 3 Count, told me that he believes Paul Robinson is the human embodiment of a Yorkshire Terrier, of an angry Yorkshire Terrier.
Not a Jack Russell. That surprises me.
I just thought it's just a little angry yappy dog that's going to bite you. That seems a lot like Paul Robinson.
I mean, I hear a lot of people liken him to a Jack Russell or a little Chihuahua, but the truth is, like, he might look like a little dog, but he bites like a pit bull. You know what I mean? He's not you know, this guy's a former what did he used to do? Kickboxing. Yeah, he's a former kickboxing, like, European champion. This guy's he's legit. He's definitely legit, Paul Robinson. I've seen him do a backflip in an alleyway just because he wanted to impress someone stood next to me. Like, he's very much he's wild. Paul Robinson is wild. But yeah, Robbo's fantastic, honestly.
So there's you and there's Robbo from a similar sort of area. You're both a lot smaller than maybe your average wrestler, and you're both very different characters. How did you go about establishing your character? What made you think I'm going to be this rather than I'm going to be the hard nutcase like Paul Robinson?
I think that the way that me and Paul conduct ourselves within the ring is is really the main difference between us, because yes, so we both look very different, and our kind of personalities are very different, but also the way that Paul kind of uses all that kickboxing background that he's got, and he's also one of the most athletic and acrobatically gifted wrestlers that's ever been in the UK, without question. The things that he can do effortlessly are unbelievable, and when I first broke in, I found myself, within the same kind of circles as the Will Ospreays and the Paul Robinsons and other guys of that kind of style. And I thought to myself, like, I can do a little moonsault here and there, and I can do this and I can do that. But there were so many great people around me who were basically the best in the world at doing that I thought, maybe I can try and use my smarts and my kind of my wit to get the advantage of my opponents, and then stand out a different way. And that might stand out, and people might not expect to see that from a smaller guy. And then that kind of developed and became the kind of savvy moniker that I've got now. And then likening it to something that I've watched as a kid with my dad growing up, and also very ingrained in London culture, and then that's the whole package ready to go kind of thing, and it's something that people have never seen before in wrestling.
Right. Can you just in case someone isn't familiar with much of your work, can you just give us a quick rundown of some of the companies that you've worked for and where you started training when? Just give a little bit of background about yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not many people are aware. Like I started so many years ago now. When I was 9 years old, I started in 2003 in a place called Revolution British Wrestling that actually closed in 2006, so it's long since gone. And there was trainers there like World of Sport guys like Johnny Kidd and Robbie Brookside trained there. There was lots of different coaches kind of floating in and out. And then once that closed down, another school kind of replaced it and tried to stick around for a little while, and then that closed. But I floated around 4 or 5 different wrestling schools until I got to SAS Wrestling, which again is long since closed, but it had some of the top names in the UK wrestling there. This was probably from around 2005 that I first started training there, and the trainer is not even a wrestler, called Charming Don Charles. He was a wrestling manager. He basically, and still to this day, is my trainer, and he trained guys like Spud. He helped guys like Dave Mastiff and El Ligero and all these different guys, Ashton Smith and people like that. And these are all guys that were on these SAS shows at the time. You had your Spuds, you had your Dave Mastiff, Shah Samuels, you had your Chris Travises, your Martin Stones, and just El Ligero, Bubblegum. Like, honestly, some of the top names now that there ever have been in British wrestling all came through SAS Wrestling, and then that was what kind of gave me all the things that I needed and provided me with all the tools to kind of build my own persona the way that I have and help me develop in that way. And then I've wrestling wise, I've been wrestling on shows for nearly 4 years, but it took me a long while to get started, because when I was about 15, 16, I looked about 12. So, it didn't really work out for me, as far as we can't really put this lad on a show because it would look like we're beating up a child. So let's wait. I started when I was about 19 on shows, and had my first ever match against a wrestler called Terry Fraser from the Cartel that some people might not be familiar with, but was honestly one of the best that the country's ever seen. So I was very lucky to have him as a first opponent. And since then I've wrestled for XWA, 4FW recently, just debuted for 3CW, regularly work for IPW, Big League Wrestling. There's about 20 promotions around the country that I work for. One of the main ones is All-Star Wrestling for Mr. Brian Dixon, and my home away from home as far as wrestling promotions is probably Fight Nation, who do a lot of shows around the South Coast and the east of the Southeast, and they've really given me a lot of my opportunities, as far as they were the first people to give me a big opponent like Joseph Connors in a singles match, which really allowed people to really see me for the first time and highlight what I can do. And I really feel like without those guys and giving me the opportunities that they have and giving me the time to talk and show people and show people what I'm about, without them, I don't know if I'd really be where I am today.
That's interesting. So, would you say Joseph Connors is one of the higher profile people that you've wrestled against, or who would other than Vader?
Definitely at that point, it was before I'd wrestled Big Vader, and since then, you had the chance to wrestle Hornswoggle, which was a big name, and my God, I couldn't believe my ears when I heard the reaction when Hornswoggle made his way to the ring. He's so loved in the wrestling community, and that was a great opponent to have. But
did you beat Hornswoggle?
Nah, he beat me. He battered me, that guy. He's tough, man. He's got big legs. You can't lift that lad, honestly. He probably weighs more than me. Yeah, go on.
I know Luke King Sharp's wrestling Hornswoggle in the near future, and I've heard people compare you and Luke King Sharp because of your height and your huge personalities. So I'm wondering if he's going to get battered off Hornswoggle as well.
If he's anything like me, he'll give his best, but he might fall off a bit short. And I know that sounds like a pun, but no pun intended. But no, Luke King Sharp, he's a class. I really like his stuff. I like the way he represents himself. He contacted me a while ago he wanted to do a video of me and him together, which I still definitely want to do. It's just we haven't found a situation where either I'm in Scotland or he's in London and we can find the time to do it, because when he's wrestled in London, I've been wrestling somewhere else. So, but I hope one day we can find a place where our paths will cross, and we'll definitely get something put out there for people to check out. I do like Luke King. He's very good.
Other than Luke King, is there anyone else that you'd like to work with? I'm assuming Grado from what you were saying earlier on.
Oh, 100%. Another guy who's been on my kind of radar, someone that I'd really like to wrestle, is Zach Gibson. I'm actually going to be wrestling him next week, June the 3rd for IPW. I'm very excited about that. So that's going to be a good versus evil battle for sure, because basically down here they're not really the biggest fans of Liverpool's number one, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd be excited to wrestle Zach Gibson. I'd probably be more terrified. He's a very intimidating man when you're next to him.
Oh, he's a big boy, that's for sure. But the reason I've been so interested in working with him is because, I mean, I listen to the way that he talks and the way that he gets a reaction from people, and I just think, oh, I admire that guy, because I've never seen someone become so hated within a few sentences. That is definitely a gift. I mean, well, some people might not look at it that way, but I think it's a gift that he's got. Bless him.
I've seen him a few times. He was at the What Culture Rumble that I went to, and he came down with a microphone. He was insulting everyone on the way down, and he straight away got a reaction. But he's fantastic. He's absolutely brilliant. Some of the stuff he did with Jack Gallagher before he went over to America was top notch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's tons of guys I'd want to work with, man. Like, I'd love to work with Gabriel Kidd. I'd love to work with guys like Rockstar Spud, even. Like, he's another guy that's a lot of people compared me to in the past, and it may be because we've been trained by the same man, but I've never had the opportunity to go one-on-one with him. We've trained together a lot, and we've had a lot of times competing in a kind of training environment, but I would love the chance to go one-on-one with him on a show, or even like a Shah Samuels kind of character, the Battle of East London kind of thing. That might be a cracking little bout as well.
You just pick people that are scary people to step in the ring with.
Well, you're telling me you're scared of Rockstar Spud?
Oh, Rockstar Spud not so much, but Shah Samuels is terrifying.
You're scared of Gabriel Kidd?
Gabriel Kidd's a nice. I don't want to say I'm scared of him, but he's a very nice guy. But Shah Samuels is insane.
Yeah, Shah Samuels is insane. I've known Shah Samuels since I was about 12 years old, and I could tell you some stories about Shah Samuels, but I won't be able to do it on this podcast, I'm afraid.
You've picked on Vader, you've picked on Zach Gibson, you've picked on Shah Samuels. That's three scary people. Even if you throw in Spud, who's still hard as nails, he's just small. And Gabriel Kidd, who's impressive whenever I've seen him, even if he did have a massive losing streak at Rock Culture.
I don't want to pick people that I don't want to push myself against. You know what I mean? I want to pick some of the best guys that I can think of, and those are just some guys off the top of my head. But I could be here all day telling you about people I want to work with. It's funny, the next name that pops into my head is probably the scariest of the bunch. He's Rampage Brown.
Yeah, you're nuts.
Yeah.
What about promotions? What promotions would you like to add to your CV? Where is it that you haven't worked that you'd like to?
Oh man, like for me, I mean, it's more that I'd love to add some places that I work and continue to have a relationship with, because it's one thing to say you've wrestled somewhere, but I would like to say that I wrestle for these promotions that I want to work for. Like, I'd love to wrestle for ICW and have a relationship there. You know, Revolution Pro in London and OTT over in Ireland are doing amazing things. I know a lot of guys that go over there to work and they come back and tell me how great their experiences were over there. So that's a really new and exciting thing. But the main one is Progress Wrestling. I mean, right in the heart of London, they've actually recently announced that they'll be going to Alexandra Palace, and that's kind of a hidden gem in North London. And if anyone ever goes to London and wants some like a hidden gem to go and check out, it's only slightly out of central London, Alexandra Palace, and the view from there of the city is absolutely breathtaking. And whenever I'm there, I like to just take a few minutes just to look out over the city and remind myself what I love about London. And that venue, I mean, it holds about 10,000 people, and when I saw they announced that, I just felt so proud of the Progress guys and just all the British wrestlers for being able to push it to get to that point where we can book these venues and put the tickets on sale and be confident that this is going to be a kick-ass show, because I guarantee it will be. And, you know, I hope I can be there to see it, because, I mean, I really did get quite emotional when I saw that. I thought, this is amazing, and if it carries on the way it is, then you know, it won't be long before Britain starts to take over the entire rest of the wrestling community.
Is there anyone on that card in particular that stands out that you'd like to work with, that you've seen, or anything that you'll be maybe attend as a fan, or is it just the venue and Progress in general that's made you want to?
I don't actually, from what I've seen, I haven't actually seen any matches that they've announced for the Alexandra Palace show, because I think it's for later on in the year, and they just kind of let people know that that's where the show's going to be. I mean, quite recently they ran Brixton Academy, which is another huge venue, and for an independent promotion in London, you know, selling over 2,000 tickets and having not an empty seat in that venue is absolutely brilliant, and the look of the show looked amazing as well. But there are so many wrestlers on Progress. The thing is about a promotion like Progress is their roster is so strong, which is the reason why they've got such the fan base that they do, that you can't really go wrong. If you're working for Progress Wrestling, you're going to be against some of the best wrestlers in the world, because they don't settle for any less than that. That's how they operate, and the same goes for ICW and these places with these huge fan bases, because it's, you know, as much as it's super important that the guys putting on these shows know what they're doing, you know, they've got to have the talent to deliver on these great brands and on these great kind of build-ups, and they do.
It's not just in the ring that Progress have some of the best. They've got they often use the guy who does Portrait of a Wrestler, who's probably the best promo photographer, I think, in the world for wrestling. Does some great ringside stuff. But have you ever had a chance to work with James or Portrait of a Wrestler before? Have you seen any of his work?
I have actually. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of his as well. The stuff that he does outside of a kind of wrestling environment, some of the stuff that he did around Brixton to build up to that Brixton event, and the stuff that he does around Camden, he'll really, what he does really provides another dimension to the wrestlers themselves and the whole product. It's something that people don't really get to see, or something that people never have experienced before, like having something that they can put on their wall that's really, you know, it's a picture of a wrestler.
It's art as much as anything, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's fantastic. And there's loads of other guys that are really pushing the boat out with their photography. I know that there's Ringside Perspective who do amazing stuff.
Ollie does great stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and there's another, you know, Turning Face. I don't know if you've seen Turning Face. But
Jim Maitland?
Yeah, Jim. I mean, him and his wife are some of the greatest, like, for the stuff that they produce. Just quick setup. They'll just get everything going. They'll start going, and then you see some of the stuff that comes out of these shoots, and you're just blown away, absolutely blown away. It's fantastic. And then there's a new photographer around the south. Who also specialises in videos as well, and he's called Beyond Gorilla. His name's Robin, and he's he's a tremendous talent for all that stuff. He's going to be picking up soon, and everyone's going to be wanting to get shoots in with him. So if there's any wrestlers or anyone promoters that are looking out for a photographer, definitely check out Beyond Gorilla as well, because soon, he's going to be one of those high-profile guys that is going to, really be hard to get hold of.
Yeah, I'm always looking out for photographers and things. With us running a magazine, it's nice to be able to get photos from good ringside photographers if we ever need them alongside anything. So I'll see if I can get in touch with him, add him to our Rolodex.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention another one of the first things I'd seen of you after your Vader match was I saw that Klondike Kate had endorsed you and said how great you were. To those who don't know, Klondike Kate had been wrestling for around 40 years, across 50 decades. First woman of British wrestling, really, and she'd wrestled all over the world. What was it like being endorsed by someone of that stature?
I mean, Klondike Kate is, like you say, without question, a legend. Like, I've been lucky enough to spend an amount of time with her because I got put on the run of shows that she was running for All Star over the summer last year, and I did a couple of weeks where I got to spend a lot of time with Klondike Kate and get to know her. And hearing some of the stories about how, she was around when they were banning women's wrestling from venues all over the UK, and she was around when, I think she was one of the first international women to wrestle in Japan, and she was one of the first women to ever bleed in a show, and she told me that all these countries that she was the first show that they ever had women, and like honestly, she could tell you about 100 things about herself that you wouldn't believe, because she's just been around and seen everything. But I think that really is what made it the biggest compliment, is the fact that she's been around for as long as she has and seen the amount that she has seen. She was working 6, 7, 8 shows a week for the most of her career, and she's probably seen more wrestling than either you and I could ever try and see in a lifetime, and for her to see something special in me enough to put her name on the line and say, Savvy Sid Scala is someone that you should look out for, it means the absolute world to me. There's probably no higher compliment that I've received.
It really stood out to me because she doesn't. It's not that she's critical of people, but she doesn't endorse a lot of people. She's if she puts out a name behind someone, it does seem to mean a lot. Like, the only other people I've seen her really endorse would be Kaylee Ray or Viper, who are obviously amongst the best. So it really stood out that she'd said that Savvy Sid Scala is one for the future, and it's good to see that you're going on and doing great things so far. Another great thing that you've achieved just recently is you've had your WWE tryout, or you've had a tryout there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's about 2 weeks ago now. Craziest 2 days of my life, probably the best 2 days of my life. It was easily the single greatest achievement that I've had within wrestling, is just being one of those 24 people to take part in that, especially with now, as we've discussed, like the scene in the UK being as alive and as healthy as it's ever been, and the level of talent is so high, and then put on top of that the fact that there was about 8 people on the tryout that were internationals, that weren't actually UK wrestlers at all. They were from Germany, I think Russia, Spain, and there was a lot of international kind of talents that some had wrestled, some hadn't, and then a few of the people from the UK hadn't wrestled before as well. So it was kind of mind blowing, and it's still yet to kind of sink in for me. Is just the kind of the gravity of the whole thing, and really getting my head around it. And I think it was intense, but I was very lucky and fortunate enough to be in a situation where I was kind of over prepared for it. I'd been travelling up to Nottingham every week and training with Joe Connors, going through all of the drills that he had experience with, and just kind of practicing every little technique that I knew would be coming at me. And luckily enough, when it came to it, I was ready for it, and I feel like I represented myself well. And yeah, it was fantastic, and it was a very positive experience as well. Matt Bloom and Steve Corino and Mr. Regal were very positive and encouraging, and full of kind things to say about everyone that was there, and kind of helping us all kind of push ourselves to our limits and really show them what we're all about.
So how did it come about that you were getting a tryout with the WWE? How did that just... Do you just get a phone call, or do you get an email? How did you find out that you were invited to this?
I hadn't really... It's always been a goal. It's always been like, oh, that would be amazing. But, you know, I guess, luckily enough for people like myself, recently with the addition of things like the Cruiserweight Classic and 205 Live, these doors have never been, you know, closer and more accessible as far as there is an opportunity to get there now. And Noam Dar's doing amazing things over there, and it really is like at fingertips away. And I was at a show where Tommy Dreamer was wrestling later on in the night, and I just asked him if he wouldn't mind just having a little look at what I was doing in the ring, and just if he thought of any feedback to give me, just let me know, and I'll really appreciate it. And he took the time to watch my match, and he spoke to me afterwards and gave me a few tips on things to look out for and things to do, and was very complimentary. And one of the things that he said that I'll never forget was that if he still worked for the WWE talent department, he would have asked for my contact information. And when he said that, it was kind of like, you know, it really jarred with me. As it's not one, I didn't really expect that from him. It's not that I didn't have a belief in myself at the time. It was just more that I didn't really feel at a point where I was thinking about, you know, reaching out to the WWE or thinking about kind of trying to go for that goal just yet. I thought that was a little bit further away. You know, when he said that, I just decided to myself, I was like, right, I'm going to collate everything that I want to show them. I'm going to put it in an email and get my CV ready, and I'm just going to send it off like you would for any job. And I sent that, and you know, less than 24 hours later, like, I'd sent it in the evening, and when I woke up, I had an email reply from Mr. William Regal, and I was just like, oh, here we go, kind of thing. Couldn't believe it, and that kind of started a conversation between myself and Mr. Regal. We went back and forth. We had looked at that kind of interview and the promo stuff, and then one day he just kind of said to me, I've kind of seen enough. I'm adding you to the UK tryout. I was just, you know, again, just kind of like running around with my phone in my hand like it's Christmas morning kind of thing. Just, you know, couldn't believe this very kind of simple email. There's just, you know, details to follow, and that's kind of as simple as it got, you know. And then a few weeks later, there's the details come through, and, you know, and you're on to your tryout, basically.
And what does the tryout involve? Obviously, it's going to be difficult, but what sort of drills do they do, or what sort of stuff do they try to ingrain in you in the short time they've got you?
The way that Mr. Regal explained the reasons for the drills was to develop muscle memory. So all of these drills are just based on repetition and getting used to doing things in a safe and controlled way, so that you can get to the point where you could do this every night, 6 days a week, and you'd never have any issues. You'd never be injured. You'd never be sore or whatever. You'd never have a situation where, you know, you're having to see the doctor after every match because you're so used to the movements around the ring and the technique that you're not in a situation where you kind of got all these niggling injuries. And that's the reason for the drills. And then the drills themselves are more like just repeating the correct technique even when you're tired. So they a lot of them are designed to repeat stuff to the point where you're fairly exhausted, and then they want to see if you can still roll, if you can still run the ropes, if you can still perform burpees and jogging on the spot with your knees up with the correct form, and then they can see if your kind of fitness and your ability is there, that you can wrestle these long matches and still be able to protect yourself and look after yourself in the ring when you're tired and when you're maybe not feeling at your best, because you're just ingrained and you've got that good ring conditioning. That is what the drills basically are, and it's the same in the performance center. You know, Matt Bloom said to us that this is what they do every day in the performance center. It's like their warm up. It's like their, you know, before they lift weights, this is what they do.
That sounds like you need a long lie down afterwards. It sounds very, very tiring.
A lot of us were hurting. There was one bit that was most difficult was after we'd done matches, and then we performed like a promo to the staff at the tryout, and then during that time where we were going through our promos, we got quite, it's in the middle of the O2 Arena. It's not exactly the warmest place, so we got nice and cold, and all the sweat on us had kind of dried up, and heart rate had gone back down to normal and everything. And then they were like, right, for the last hour and a half, we're going to go intense drills all the way. And we were all kind of like looking at each other like, maybe they're playing a little rib on us, maybe they're just joking around with us, but they weren't joking around with us. So we went straight back into the drills, and that's when it really started to hurt, because your muscles are tight and sore, and you really your body's shut off because it's had enough. But you're pushing through, and that's when they really got to see who was kind of carrying on and getting on with it, and the people that were finding it more difficult. But luckily after the second day, when we went to the SmackDown shows, our seats were on a level area, whereas on the Monday Night Raw the night before, we were down and up about 25 steps, which really did, after a while, start to hurt when you needed to go get a drink, or when you needed to go to the toilet. You were really worrying about that trip back up the 25 steps up to the kind of reception area. But yeah, luckily the second day wasn't too bad. But yeah, no, I mean we were all sore, but that after that second night, it was really good to just unwind with the guys, and like guys that I know of but hadn't really got to spend much time with, and really got to have a good laugh with, like hanging out with a few guys from the UK team like Mark Andrews and Wolfgang, and getting to hang out with some of the Scottish lads that I hadn't really met before, like Liam Thompson, and spending time with him, and BT Gunn and Stevie Boy, and these guys who are really cool to hang out with, really good guys that without having that opportunity never would have had the chance to spend much time with. But I was rooming with Adam Maxted, who's someone that I think has all the ability in the world to go and tackle the WWE in America, and do that for the rest of his life. But also I get on with him very, very, very well as a person. We're very close, and it was nice to have the hotel room that I was sharing with him, that we could both kind of relax and just kind of take the weight off and kick our shoes off and just relax with for that time, because it was such a high pressure environment that having someone there that you could just kind of totally chill out with and just not worry about anything was just ideal. And it really helped make those 2 days as good as they both were for both of us.
How does it work out with the who you're rooming with? Do you pick someone, or do they just say you're with him and deal with it?
No, yeah, you just kind of turn up, and then all the rooms are kind of allocated. But me and Adam were one of the first to turn up, and we arrived at the same time, and they kind of said, you're in this room and you're in this room, and I was kind of like, is there many people in? And they're like, no, and I'm like, can we jump in the same room? And she was like, yeah, no worries. So that was it. Simple as that kind of thing.
Yeah, we mentioned someone hitting harder than Vader earlier on. I've been told by quite a few people, including Sabu, that BT Gunn's chops are the hardest of all time. Don't suppose you got to sample one of those, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't actually. I didn't even hear that over the couple of days that I spent with him, so that's news to me. But I'll remember, I'll watch out for those if I ever get the opportunity to work with him. But yeah, no, I didn't actually know about that. But yeah.
I've seen him make someone's chest bleed in 3 chops. It was terrifying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I certainly won't be entering into any strike-offs with BT Gunn at the hotel bar anytime soon.
I would recommend against it. Who was your match against on the drill? Who did you get put against?
I wrestled Big Grizzly, who's a lad from Wales, huge guy, basically a bear.
Yeah.
And yeah, he beat me up for a while and everything, and they seemed to like what they saw, so I was happy enough. But I think Big Grizzly's fantastic. I've been on a couple of shows. I got to see a couple of the guys from the tryout, including BT Gunn at IPW earlier the weekend, and I saw Chris Brooks and Big Grizzly and BT Gunn. It was really nice just to see them after the tryout, because we've got a bit of a bond now, that whole team, because we went through those kind of 2 intense kind of days all together, all experiencing all the same things. So that was really nice just to catch up and just kind of have a bit of a kind of nod to each other, like, yeah, that happened, yeah, we did that kind of thing. It was nice.
Yeah, it sounds like something that would bond you, and you'd never want to go through it again, but you'd never forget it.
I'd love to go through it again, man, honestly. That's the thing me and Grizzy were saying, actually. We were both saying, oh, yeah, you know, when we were 2 days later, when we were both kind of back into the daily grind of whatever we're doing, we were both wishing that we were back there just doing that, honestly. I mean, it sounds like the worst thing in the world physically, and don't get me wrong, it was the most physically demanding 2 days of my entire life, without question. But when you're plugged into that machine for 48 hours and you can see all the crew working, and all, you know, you get to meet a load of people that are part of this amazing organisation, all you want to do is get on the bus with them and go to the next town, because, well, certainly I did anyway. I would have loved to carry on with them and run away with the circus, if you know what I mean, and just never come back.
So is that the dream for you ultimately, to wrestle, to finish up in the UK and end up in the WWE, or where would you like to be long term?
Yeah, no, that absolutely. I mean, I would love that. I would love any opportunity to be able to do wrestling at a high enough level where the little differences that we can make can become much bigger. Like, I was having a conversation with Spud a while ago about the kind of life choices that we've all made to do this for our everyday lives kind of thing. And, you know, sometimes you think to yourself, when your mates and your people you know from your local area are kind of going like, well, you're still mucking around with that then? You know, is it, when are you going to get bored of that and come to the lads' holiday this year, or whatever the conversation is? And you doubt yourself every now and again, and you think, oh, maybe this is a bit stupid and everything. But the truth is, there are times when you can as crazy as it might sound, you can really make a difference in people's lives if you're the kind of hero to a bunch of young kids who look up to you and wanna do what you do. Whether you're like a little guy like myself who's managed to trick the big guy into a full sense of security and then managed to get the better of him, or even if you're the biggest a-hole in the world who's hated by everyone, but then you get your ass kicked, you've definitely made a difference to those people's lives. Like, and I think we a lot of us take it for granted, and we think, oh yeah, you know, it's all just fun and games, it's all a laugh and everything. But you know, everyone who goes out there and wrestles on shows up and down the country, you know, we're all in our own ways, and guys putting on shows as well, we're all making differences to people and making people happy. And if we can ever do that on a stage where it's now, because like, if you think about someone with the reach of a John Cena, that guy effectively is making millions of people happy, and that's I don't think you could have a more rewarding feeling in life than doing something like that.
That seems like a good place to finish up. Just before I do let you go, can I just get your social media information just for anyone who wants to follow you on from here on?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I'm at Sid Scala on the Instagram and on the Twitter, and then on the Facebook, if you want to go, it's just facebook.com/Sid Scala, or search Savvy Sid Scala and you'll find me. There's only me. There's no other Sid Scalas knocking around, and yeah, you can find me on there, and that's got all my information about my upcoming shows and everything. You can find out what I'm up to on there.
Fantastic. Well, Sid, I really appreciate you doing this a second time. I'll make sure that this audio doesn't go missing, and I'll get this sent over to Lewis, who I'm sure will be over the moon that he hasn't had to talk with his broken mouth.
Shout out to Lewis, who's probably in a lot of pain and needs to get his jaw iced up and stay on the painkillers for a little bit longer. And don't worry about losing the audio. I'm pretty sure that you're only a real podcast if you've recorded a podcast and then lost it, because didn't that happen at Stone Cold a while ago? I'm pretty sure, honestly.
I think it did.
It happens to all of them.
Go up. Yeah, thank you very much, Sid.
That's your initiation into the podcast world, done and dusted.
I hope I don't have to go through it again. Cool.
Fingers crossed. Oh wait, was this one recorded? Oh no.
This one's definitely recording, and it's recording on a dictaphone as well, on loudspeaker. So I've got it twice. It can't be failed both times.
Twice as good. All right, mate. Well, that's good stuff. Good. Thank you very much for having me anyway, Neil.
Not a problem, mate. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you later.
Right, take care of me, old son.